this one's going out to all the ladies.
Back in December of 2020, I decided to watch Sailor Moon sort of on a whim. I'd thought about watching the show for a while, but I wasn't sure how much I'd really enjoy it. Then it became the first anime I ever finished. Yeah, I may have watched plenty of anime beforehand, but I never actually finished them, not a single one. But something about Sailor Moon just kept me invested the whole time, which is weird considering how repetitive it can be. But I feel like the overall stories, humor, and the amazing cast of characters is what had me coming back. The show has such a friendly vibe to it. I absolutely love the slice of life elements of the show. It astonishes me how much these characters really feel like they belong together. Now when I was watching that very first episode, I instantly knew that this show was something special. Not only did Usagi's character give off a good first impression, but there was something that stuck out to me above everything else, that being the visuals. Sailor Moon is one of the best looking animated shows I've ever seen, and it's definitely my favorite looking anime in general. When I was thinking of ways to talk about the show without reviewing the series itself, this idea did come to mind, but I wasn't sure if there was enough to discuss. However, the more I thought about it, more things came to mind, and I realized that the aesthetic of Sailor Moon is truly something to behold. But before we get into the anime, I think it's important to look at the source. In 1991, Naoko Takeuchi began writing and illustrating the manga for Sailor Moon, and the artwork was pretty damn amazing. Sure, some of the panels were your standard manga fare, but when you get to see more detailed art, holy crap. I love how lightweight the line work is. It really adds to the elegance of it all. It's very pretty. There's so many excellent panels I've come across that really showcase the beauty of Sailor Moon. But the manga isn't afraid to exaggerate either. Takeuchi will use wacky facial expressions a lot of the time for comedic purposes and such. And the general character designs are a tad more angular than they are in the anime, but I still really like them. But one thing I'm not the biggest fan of is some of the colored art they did for the manga. It's not bad at all, but the way it's shaded looks kinda plasticky. Like, it'd make me want to get the book for sure, but it's a bit rough in my opinion. I honestly think Takeuchi's art shines the brightest in black and white. Something about those thin, pretty outlines shines better without color, but once it comes to the anime, it's the polar opposite. This show is absolutely beautiful, no hyperbole. It's so full of color, so full of life, so vibrant, so saturated, it's amazing. They brought Sailor Moon to life and then some. It's such a striking show to look at. Like I stated in the beginning of the video, the visuals popped right out at me once I flipped on that very first episode. I mean, just look at Usagi's room alone. The bright pink hue coating everything, along with the other complementing colors. It goes to show what the anime aims for, despite it being such a small area. I love the direction they took with the environments and backgrounds throughout the whole show. It's all very watercolor influenced, which I like a lot. I mean, I doubt it actually is, considering that it was made with cells, but still, the influence is most definitely there. The colors really do it for me. A lot of the ones used are very soft and light, creating something that is super easy on the eyes. I honestly just love looking at the show in general. A lot of the time I can look back at a certain frame and think, wow, that's gorgeous. A lot of the backgrounds are just paintings in and of themselves. You could probably hang half of this stuff up in a museum and pass it off. I also think the fact that the show was made with cells adds a lot of character to the visuals. Anime from the 80s and 90s has a very, very distinct look to it, and Sailor Moon is no exception. Pair that with beautiful and sometimes flashy visuals, and you end up with something truly special. One thing I also like about the way the backgrounds are colored is how a lot of the time they're centered around just one color. Take this one for example. It's all blue, but then all the other colors are either various shades of blue or another corresponding color like green. This goes for literally everything else too. In fact, all the different times of day kinda have their own color palette. During the day, backgrounds have fairly standard but still soft colors. The evening sky is pink, and during the night it's all blue, not black. And that's yet another thing. The show doesn't use very much black in the backgrounds. The only time really dark colors are used is when a big villain is the focus. But other than that, the show stays very colorful and breezy. I think this all creates a sort of a cozy feeling when watching. This art style pairs so well with the show's slice of life elements. I love when you get to see these characters just interact and hang out, and this warm visual style only elevates these moments further. It's just so unique. I can't think of any other anime, or show for that matter, that matches this look and feel. It's truly one of a kind. It's funny too, since a lot of anime from this time can get shit on for having animation mistakes and the like, but Sailor Moon looks top notch all the time. One of my favorite looking parts of the show has to be this bit where Usagi is walking around the city during a rainy night. And man, it looks crazy good. The blues, the greens, the lighting, and just the general vibe are fabulous. However, these pretty backgrounds aren't all there is to the show's visuals, of course. So how about we touch on the character designs? I mentioned how the manga designs were more angular and exaggerated with the longer fingers and triangle smiles. But once the manga was adapted into anime, the artist took these designs and rounded them out. I vastly prefer the way the characters look here. Since the anime has a very soft look to it, softer character designs fit really well. The girls' faces are noticeably rounder eyes, rounder cheeks, shorter fingers, etc. Sure, it's more simplistic, but I find it much more appealing. Plus the roundness sorta makes them look cuter, I guess. It feels weird as hell saying that since they're like 14 years old, but you get what I mean. Anyways, there's also another thing I want to mention that's a bit odd, but I find it interesting. Throughout most of the show, aside from season 5, there's like 2 character design styles that they shift between. I think the changes mainly lie in the shape of their faces and eyes. It's hard to describe with words, but these comparisons ought to show it off. This other art style is definitely even more simplistic, but it doesn't look bad at all. I can't really find information on these things, but my guess is that it was a different team who did these particular episodes. Like maybe they got paid less, so the art was more simple? Who knows. However, the actual animation quality is the same, so that's good. But then in season 5, they completely stuck with the more detailed designs. This factoid really doesn't mean much to the show itself, but I think it's kinda neat. I also brought up how expressive the characters in the manga can be earlier, but now that we're dealing with full-blown animation, that stuff really comes to life. Every single character in Sailor Moon, human or not, is expressive as hell. I absolutely love how someone can switch from their normal face to something so absurd in less than a second, yet have it flow perfectly. It's always used for more comedic effect, and it's fantastic. It just adds this remarkable amount of bounce and charisma to the show that really breathes life into this outstanding cast. The show isn't afraid to get kinda wacky, so all this squash and stretch is a very good thing. It's super fun to watch and it makes for a lot of great moments. But the expressiveness doesn't just shine during comedic bits, but during dramatic moments too. There are moments where you can really feel a certain character's distress, and a lot of that has to do with their eyes. The way the female character's eyes look has to be one of the best aspects of the character designs. It's such a weird thing to nerd out over, but these are like the best anime eyes ever. Point blank period, no questions asked. They're just so pretty looking, especially with the way eye shines are used. They don't just use it to make them pop out, no, they make it a focal point. The main eye shine is basically treated as a pupil, and the 2 little lines do just add that little extra flair. They look awesome and fit the show incredibly well. On top of that, I noticed that the main sailors' eyes really do fit their personality. Usagi and Minako's eyes are very round, which fit their bouncy personality. Rei's eyes come to a sharp point in the corner, which sells her razor-sharp attitude. Then Ami's eyes come down to a slight slope, giving it a softer look, which suits her gentle personality. I have absolutely no clue if any of these were total conscious decisions, but it's still amazing detail that I really commend. Although it's still not quite the best thing about the character designs. That honor goes to the fashion. I think we all know the trope of a cartoon character always wearing the same outfit in every episode, but Sailor Moon avoids that. Each and every main character has tons of outfits they cycle throughout the entire show. A lot of them use a lot of soft pastel colors as well, which fits right in with the show. It may not seem like much, but considering this is 90s animation, I find it very commendable. It really adds to that attention to detail that I love about this show. Like, they really did not have to do this at all, but they did, and that's awesome. Not only that, but the outfits the girls wear look really damn good. I can tell that a lot of thought was put into what they wear. Sure, they make them look pretty, but also help reflect a character's personality. Yeah, take Ami for example. She's a shy, brainy girl that probably wouldn't be into any extravagant outfits, and what she wears reflects that. Her outfits are more modest and simple. Lots of sweaters, collared shirts, ties, etc. Then if you look at, say, some of Mako's outfits, you'll see more tomboyish outfits, like this Letterman jacket one here. This reflects her tougher personality, but she'll wear more feminine clothes as well. In fact, some outfits have become sort of iconic, like Rei's pink overalls that everyone loves. Come to think of it, Rei also has a lot of really nice clothes, but really, everyone does. Yeah, I just really love this detail about the show. Like, I'm sure there's a wealth of other anime that does this that I don't know about, but it's still more than worth pointing out here. The rotating outfits add so much personality to the characters and the series as a whole. They're just so stylish, and it seems like plenty of other people think so as well. Search up Sailor Moon fashion and you'll find a bunch of screenshots and collages showing off various outfits in the show. I've even found some images showing how you could replicate a given outfit. It's really interesting. And despite this franchise starting in the early 90s, most of what they wear isn't too dated. You could definitely pull off a lot of this stuff today. Sailor Moon's visual style really is like nothing else. So much flair and detail, it's hard not to love. It's really transcended its place in time and still resonates with people now. Case in point, Future Funk. I know the wide world of vaporwave and its various subgenres can be seen as a joke to some people, but I think it's cool as hell. And recently I've gotten into vaporwave's more energetic counterpart, future funk. But just like vaporwave, the genre does indulge in all those sweet nostalgia aesthetics. But instead of using VHS filtered footage, Greek statues, and old computers, future funk showers in lots and lots of anime. So because of that, Sailor Moon in particular is a very popular subject when it comes to this stuff. There's a wealth of album covers that feature Usagi herself, or other Sailor Moon related stuff. Macross 8299 even made 2 albums named after the show. But why anime exactly? How did it become a central part of this genre? Well, this stuff is nostalgic to a lot of people, which is exactly what future funk feeds off of. Plus these songs sampled a ton of Japanese city pop, so it's only fitting. That and the channel Artsy Music pretty much started the whole anime visual thing. There are tons of songs set to Sailor Moon gifs over there, and it fits like a glove. But the impact of Sailor Moon's visuals doesn't just stem to future funk. There are lots of aesthetic pictures you can find online that feature these grainy filters and color adjustments making everything look pink. Sure, these things might not mean much and can even be a little cringe, but it just goes to show the sheer impact this show has made on people. Sailor Moon's visual style is proven to be timeless, and in a weird way, all this aesthetic vaporwave stuff proves that. But yeah, I'm unbelievably glad that I decided to give Sailor Moon a chance. It unexpectedly became the one anime that held my attention through 5 whole seasons. The characters, the stories, the humor, all of those things are outstanding aspects of the show, but Sailor Moon's aesthetic shined incredibly brightly and became a massive part of my enjoyment. I feel like saying, oh, Sailor Moon has a nice art style severely undersells it. The backgrounds, the expressiveness, and the awesome outfits are integral to the feel of the show. A colorful, magical show that I will never forget.
It's time to stop crying and start fighting.
The only one who can save Rini is Sailor Moon! Let's go! It's up to us to stop you!
Soul of a princess. Heart of a soldier. Sailor Moon, every weekday at 4. Schoolgirls with superpowers versus the scum of the Negaverse.
Now that could be fun!
Only Toonami.
Sussy balls.